Hi, welcome to Dear Franny podcast. I am your host, Francesca Hogi. So, I wanted to talk today about dating apps. And dating apps are something that I have been very hard on at times. But at the same time, I also know that every day, even today in 2024, that there are people who are meeting great partners on dating apps. There was a time when this, pre-dating app, but online dating before there were apps, before Tinder launched. Grindr was the first app, but that is for gay men, and it's not me, so I wasn't on Grindr, but I was on Tinder actually at the very beginning, and I really appreciated online dating because it gave me that easy access to dates, right? Because that's the upside. That's the safety of it, right? When you go on an app and you match with someone, you don't have to guess like, is this person interested in me? Because they matched with you, right? You might still wonder, are they actually available? But for the most part, you can kind of have this sense of, okay, this person is here and they're searching for something. I'm here, I'm searching for something. And so at least we can take that question off the table, right? Versus when you meet someone organically in life, you may not know right away. Are they available? Are they interested? And that uncertainty can cause a lot of people to really shut down. And so dating apps do give you the benefit of not having to ask that question again, generally speaking. Are there people on dating apps who are not honest? Are there people on dating apps who are in relationships with other people and are unethically on an app, developing, new connections outside of that relationship? Absolutely. That happens as well. But I would still say that the majority of people on apps are looking for some type of human connection. Now, also, the majority of people on apps are, and are available, I should say, at least not in a relationship, available, not in a committed relationship. But also, the majority of people on apps are really, really bad at dating. I'm sorry, I should say, I don't mean they're bad at going on dates, but they are bad at using the technology in a productive way. So the thing to know about dating apps, and a lot of people ask me like, are apps even worth being on anymore? Are apps over? I'm going to answer that question in a minute. But before I get there, I just want to say the thing to understand about dating apps is that they benefit from your search for love. So if every person who was on a dating app all fell in love tomorrow and deleted their dating apps forever, then a multi-billion-dollar industry would collapse. So do you think that the companies who make up this multi-billion-dollar industry want their business to go away forever? Yes, there will be new people coming on the apps, right? But they don't want that kind of turnover. What is much better for their bottom line is for you to be on an app swiping for years at a time, okay? And the way the technology is set up, it's very conducive to you doing just that. So in order to be successful in meeting someone on an app for a real relationship that does cause you both to delete the apps, that requires either just a ton of luck, which happens, or it requires intention. And intention is something that you have the power over, and you can make your own luck through the power of intention. So do dating apps still work? Are dating apps worth being on? I would say that yes, but only if you're using them in an intentional way. So here are some tips that I have for you to maximize your experience on the dating apps. So number one, this isn't actually about apps, but it's related, is to make sure that you are not being solely dependent on dating apps. So if in your life you equate dating with being on an app, then I would encourage you to just end that right now, right? Dating apps are a tool. When you're connecting with people on an app, when you're swiping on an app, you are not dating. You are not dating until you are actually going on dates in real life with someone. So these apps are a place to connect, to call them dating apps is a little bit of a misnomer for that reason. And many of the people that you will connect with on a dating app, you will probably never meet in person. Some of the profiles that you're interacting with are not even real people. Some of the profiles are real humans, but they're not there for the reasons that they say they are. So it's really important not to be solely dependent on the apps. And the fact that so many people are, and people think, okay, I'm open to dating, I'm open to meeting someone because I'm on an app, you're really, really setting yourself short, and you're selling yourself short, and you are diminishing so much romantic possibility. So I know I've done an episode in the past about the meet cute mindset. And the meet cute mindset is what I call literally this mindset that every time you leave your house, you have the potential to meet someone special. And by embracing that mindset, then you're opening yourself up to operating in the world in a way where you are open to connection. And does it take a little bit more courage? Does it take a little bit more vulnerability? Does it take a little bit more intention to be open to connection in this world? Yes, it does. Even just for the fact that when you go out, most people are looking down at their phones, and you might be one of those people. And that might be a place for you to say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to be on my phone all the time when I'm in public. I actually am going to force myself to put my phone away. Even if you're listening to headphones, you can still be looking up. You can still be aware of your surroundings. You can still notice, like, oh, is there anyone here who looks interesting to me, who looks intriguing? Is there an opportunity to smile, to make eye contact, to like maybe have a moment with another person, to start a conversation, to give a compliment, to notice when somebody else is smiling at you. So just that awareness right there can start to shift things in terms of your ability to meet people off of the apps, which is what I want you to do. I do not want anyone, and I said this a million times, and I'll probably say it a million more, I do not want anyone to be solely dependent on dating apps to go on dates, okay? That is giving the apps far too much power. You are giving your power to a corporation who profits from your search for love, okay? Your search, not your finding it, your search. So that is... giving your agency to dating apps is like a big, big no-no. Now, getting back to when you are on an app. So number one, I would encourage you to not be on too many apps. I mean, I'd say 1 or 2 apps at a time is plenty. You don't want to overwhelm yourself, and you also don't want to fall into this fallacy of, okay, the more apps, the more options I have, then the better it's going to be, the more successful I'm going to be, the faster I'm going to meet someone. No, not necessarily. Okay. There is such a thing. It's a phenomenon called the paradox of choice. Barry Schwartz, who is a very famous social psychologist, did a very famous study, which has been replicated many, many, many times, where, people are given a choice of jams to taste. So there's like a little tasting station set up in the supermarket, and the first setup of the experiment is that there's like 3 different jams, and then they track people who stop. They taste the jams, and then they track how many people bought one of the jams, and then also their satisfaction with the jam that they bought. And then they introduced the second phase of the experiment, which instead of 3 jars of jam, and I could be getting these numbers wrong, but this is the gist. They give them like 12, like it's like a big number, right? It's a big jump of how many options they have, all these different kinds of jams. And they do the same thing. They're giving out free samples of the jams. They track how many people buy the jams, and they track how many people, how satisfied people are with the jams. And what they found, and again, this has been replicated in many ways in different contexts, many different researchers, that the more choices, the more options people had of the different types of jams, then the less likely they were to actually buy one, right? So they were overwhelmed by choice. So they're just like, okay, I can't even decide, too many options, and they don't pick anything. And of the ones who did actually buy the jam, the people who had fewer options to choose from were more satisfied with their purchase than the people who had more options to choose from. So when people have more options, they are always kind of second guessing. They're like, well, I got the blueberry blackberry blend, but would I have liked just the straight blueberry better? Now, humans are not jam, right? So this is this is an imperfect analogy. However, the psychological element of this, how our minds work, how we make decisions, our level of satisfaction with decisions, is something that is evergreen for all parts of our life, and this includes dating. So being on a dating app and having this idea that you need to have more and more and more and more options is actually part of why dating culture is a big part of why dating culture looks the way it does now, because people are constantly searching for the next best thing rather than actually just saying, like, I don't need a million options, right? So when people tell me, they're like, oh my gosh, like, I want to get more matches. Now, if you have 0 matches, okay, fine. You need to have some options. But if you're getting like 10 matches a week, but you want 100 matches a week, then I actually would encourage you to think about, well, do I need more matches or do I need better matches, right? So the first thing is that I don't want you to be solely dependent on dating apps. The second thing is that I don't want you to overwhelm yourself with being on too many apps and to falling into this paradox of choice, right? It is not that more is better. We do not need more and more and more options. We need good options, and we need to actually not overwhelm ourselves with this sense of endless choice, because too many people are looking at other people's profiles on a dating app like items in a catalog, and you're just swiping like, no, like you're like, I don't like that shade of green, oh, I want this shoe to have a higher heel. Like, that's the attitude that so many people are approaching dating apps with, which is actually dehumanizing, like literally. So we want to bring the humanity back to the experience. So once you choose your 1 or 2 apps that you're going to be on, so the first thing is your profile. And so many people go into this profile creation process thinking that they need to, again, be as widely appealing as possible so they can have as many options as possible. Now, if you are a woman who dates men on a dating app and you want to have as many matches as possible, then just have the sexiest photos and the least amount of information possible in your profile, and then you'll get lots of matches. Okay? So that's not the goal. You don't want just lots of matches. You want the right kinds of matches. You want better matches. You want more aligned matches. You want higher quality matches, right? And if you're a guy who dates women, then, you want to have pictures of yourself where you look like not a bunch of bathroom mirror selfies, by the way. The guys need to stop that. But you want to show, that you look professional, you look successful, you look like you've got a really nice lifestyle. You want to show that you've got means, that you're, that again, you've got success, and you are, the more you can look like you're in a magazine, the more matches you're going to get. But are they going to be high quality matches? Are they going to be in alignment with what you are actually seeking? Maybe not, and probably not. So what I would encourage all of you to do is to make sure that when you are putting your profile together, you are really keeping in mind the kind of person that you want to meet and what they will be prioritizing in a profile. So starting with your photos, everyone knows that photos are important. So many people really, really are not doing themselves a favor with their photos because they're not intentional, or they are like going for this mass appeal. So one of the reasons why we see so many cliched photos is because people think, okay, well, if I'm sexier, if I have the bikini photo, if I have the bathing suit photo, if I have the photo with a nice car, if I have the photo, that shows me in this like glamorous place, then I'll get more matches. But again, if you're putting yourself in the mindset of the person that you want to meet, are they there because they're trying to find the person who has the most glamorous photos? Or are they trying to find a person who they connect with? So one thing that I see a lot of people doing in their photos, I call it hiding in plain sight. So if your photo is more about what's going on in the background, the lifestyle that you're displaying, the backdrop, than it is about you, then you are not setting yourself up to win. Okay? So it actually requires more vulnerability for you to have photos that are about you and that are giving a sense of your true energy and your true personality. But that's actually what's required for you to get better matches. So even like your first photo, it should be a headshot. When I say headshot, I do not mean professional. Professional is not necessary, and I generally don't recommend it for your dating profile photos. Everybody has a very nice camera in your pockets, right? So cell phone photos are what I actually recommend. But that first photo should be a picture of your face. It should be a picture that when somebody looks at it, they can get a sense of your warmth, of your, it should be inviting. Like that right there, you will get fewer matches with that photo. Like say if you're a woman and you date men, you're going to get fewer matches with a photo of you smiling and looking into the camera than you are of you wearing sunglasses and a bikini. You're going to get fewer matches, but you're going to get better matches, right? And so you don't have to take my word for it, by the way. You can change these photos up and you can do this little experiment for yourself and see how it changes the quality of your matches when you change your photos. So just making sure that those photos are telling a story that's in alignment with what you're seeking. So if your profile photos and you're looking for a serious relationship, if your profile photos are indistinguishable from somebody who's looking for a casual hookup, then guess what? You are not setting yourself up to win. So making sure those photos are really telling a story. Group photos, leave them alone. You don't need group photos. People always say, they're like, but what if I want them to know I have friends. If anybody is looking at your photos and like, oh, they don't have pictures with other people, they must not have friends. Like, honestly, I don't even know if that's a mindset of somebody who you want to date, because that's not the point of this, right? So don't worry about that. And, put that thought out of your head. You also just don't want there to be confusion. If somebody's looking at your profile and they can't even tell which one is you, what are you even doing there, right? Again, this is hiding in plain sight. If you're being overshadowed in your photos, this happens. I've heard so many people complain. They're like, some, guy wrote to me and he asked about my friend because because this picture of us, she's like, hey, is your friend single? I'm like, well, why would you have your friend in your photo anyway on your dating profile? Like, so make it about you, okay? Not your friends, not about the other people you're with, not about the glamorous place you're visiting, but actually about you. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have a photo that shows you in a nice place if that's the kind of place that you frequent, but let that not be the centerpiece of your photo. The centerpiece of your photos should actually be you. So you have a headshot, you have a full body photo. Everybody wants these things, right? I hear often, oh, but I don't really like the way my body looks right now. So maybe you're not posting full body photos or you're posting outdated photos. Let me just implore you to stop doing that. You really have to think about the long game here. There is no point in getting more matches if that's what's going to happen, and it may not even be what happens. But even if you're saying, oh, I'll get more matches with this, 5-year-old photo where I was more comfortable with my body than I will a photo today where I'm less comfortable with my body, maybe you'll get more matches from 5 years ago. And also maybe they can tell that those pictures are 5 years outdated, which is often the case because you don't actually look the same as you do in maybe your more current photos. So that's just shooting yourself in the foot, because if the goal is to actually meet someone in person and go on a date, because remember, you're not dating when you're swiping and you're matching and you're texting, right? You're not dating until you're going on dates. Then don't you want somebody who shows up and knows what you look like and they're excited to meet you versus somebody who goes, oh, wow, you look different than your photos. Like, why? Like, what? Let's not do that, right? So your photos should be representative of how you look today, right? They should not be the best photos you've ever taken. Again, do you want somebody to be excited about meeting you because they've seen the best photos you've ever taken? And then they meet you and they're like, oh, okay. I mean, maybe I can see that you're maybe the same person, but not as good at that one perfect angle, right? Like, this is not about perfection. This is not about marketing yourself as a perfect item in a catalog. This is about authenticity. Okay, I'm going to move on because I could talk about photos for a long time, obviously. So current photos that center you, your personality, you get a vibe. And I know I said I'm moving on. I am, but And you can also have a friend help you with this. Have a friend help you take photos. Have a friend look at your photos and say, does this feel like me, right? Does this actually feel genuine to me? You will get the best matches if the answer to that question is yes. Now, moving on to your bio. So there are so many cliches that people use in their bios. So everything from I'm looking for my partner in crime to I'm just as comfortable in heels as in sneakers. Like, let's drop the cliches. I understand why people say those things because it's not always the easiest thing to talk about yourself in this way. But I really, really want you to go beyond that. And I want you to be more specific. And I don't mean specific as in terms of I want to meet somebody who's this quality and this trait and did it and like have a laundry list. But I want you to be more specific about things like character. I want you to be more specific about things like what you're actually interested in. I want you to be more specific about the kinds of activities that you like to do. Like if you just say, I like to travel, most people like to travel. It's a little generic. What would be more interesting and a better conversation starter is to say that you like to travel and your favorite ever travel destination was the Maldives because it was the most beautiful place you'd ever seen. I've never actually been to the Maldives. I don't know why I chose that example, but that's what came to me. Because again, if you're putting yourself in the state of mind of somebody who's reading your profile, if you just say you like to travel, and everybody says that, but if you give a specific destination, if you give a reason, then you're giving somebody something to latch onto, right? It's telling them a little bit more about you, and it's not in a lot of words. It's just by giving a specific example, right? If you say that you love music, like who's your favorite artist, right? What's an example of a movie? Just a little bit more specificity. It doesn't mean more text. It actually can mean less text, but it's just a little bit more specific for somebody can really get a flavor of you. So these are the elements that I really want your profile to include, which is this is who I am. This is how I live my life. So this is who I am. You can just brainstorm a few adjectives to describe yourself. How would a friend who's setting you up on a date with somebody, how might they describe you? So take a few of those adjectives. Oh, another thing about that, don't use your precious real estate because only the little bit of characters that you have on a dating app to reiterate your physical characteristics. The number of people who say things like, I'm pretty, or I'm handsome, or I'm tall, or I'm like have a nice smile, or I'm curvy, or like, why are you? They have photos. So don't talk about your appearance. Talk about, give somebody a sense of your personality, right? So some adjectives that you can say about yourself is a good place to start. Some specific examples. So number one, this is who I am. Number two, this is how I like to live my life or what I care about. So some specific examples of things that you like to do. Because the point is not that somebody has to like the exact same thing as you, but how are you cutting through the noise of the seas of generic profiles where everyone is saying the same thing? You want to be speaking to the person who is reading your profile and is resonating with the fact that you are saying something different, right? That speaks to them. So give a few specific examples. Number three, this is who I hope to meet. Now, this is a big thing that people leave off the table. Like say a little something about who you're looking to meet, not the physical characteristics, because you have your preferences. You already know that. You don't need to say, I only want to date somebody who don't say that, but say, again, just as I'm encouraging you to brainstorm some adjectives to describe yourself beyond the physical. What are some adjectives that describe the kind of person that you hope to meet beyond the physical? And you can say that there, right? So say, I hope to meet someone who's kind, who's, family oriented, who likes to travel to tropical destinations, for instance. Again, I don't know why I'm on this tropics thing, but just giving a little bit of specificity there. And think about the person, putting yourself in the shoes of the person that you want to meet, and you want them to look at this profile and to resonate with it and be like, oh, not only does this person seem like cool and somebody that I might get along with, but also they seem like they're looking for someone like me, right? So a little specificity can go a long way. Same thing. So the fourth thing is this is what I'm looking for with that person. And it doesn't mean you have to say, I'm looking to get married and have 3 kids, though, I mean, you could certainly say that, but I actually just mean to, again, something you're like, somebody can read and say, oh, that resonates with me. It could be, I'm rather than your partner in crime, you could say, I hope to meet somebody who's ready to build a lasting relationship. You could say, I'm looking for someone who loves dogs as much as I do. I'm looking for someone who wants to join me in finding the best taco in town. I mean, it can be silly, it can be funny, but it's something that someone can hold on to and be like, okay, that sounds like me. Like, I'm down to do that, or that resonates with me, or that's how I want to live my life, or that's the kind of relationship that I'm looking forward to. And then the fifth thing is what they call in marketing a call to action, right? So back in the day on OkCupid, they used to have this question, and maybe they still do, which is, you should contact me if, right? And so it would give you this opportunity to say like this, this is why you should contact me. And I just think that's a really great way to end your profile. So you can end your profile by saying something like, if this resonates with you, like, I'd love to hear from you. Or, if you agree that the first Star Wars movie is the best Star Wars movie, like, let's talk. Like, it can be silly, it can be sincere, but again, it's just something that someone can look at and be like, yeah, I agree with that. That resonates. It's just that moment and that point of connection. So I gave you those 5 elements, which, by the way, you can do each of those in one sentence. It doesn't have to be long, right? But it's just to add a little bit of depth and make your profile stand out in the right way. And then the last piece of this, so we got to start with your profile, because, a lot of people want to skip over that, but like, that's so much. That's going to determine, like, literally who matches with you is going to, is going to be determined by your profile. So once you've got your photos and the bio, then it's about you making sure that you are in a mindset where you are prioritizing the right things as you go through. So rather than saying like, oh, is this somebody that I can see myself in a relationship with in 2 seconds of looking at their profile? Maybe that's not the right bar, especially if that's not working for you, especially if you've been on dating apps for a long time using that criteria. How about trying on, is this somebody that I think I could talk to for 10 minutes and maybe we'd have an interesting conversation? And that might seem like a low bar, but it's actually not, because not everyone's going to meet it. It's much more realistic. And you will then just open yourself up to a lot more people, because if you're being really, really, really strict about who you're matching with, then you are shrinking the pool so much. And you're also probably missing out on some great people, but you're also not setting yourself up for success, because most of the matches that you make on a dating app are never going to go anywhere. So if you're only making a few and you're stuck to some very, specific, strict criteria, like, I can see myself in a relationship with this person. You do not know this person. You don't even know yet if this is a real person. Like, the people who are on apps who are there to scam you, they've got really good looking profiles. Okay. That's how they get you in. Right. So you can't just be this superficial if you are looking for something serious. Matching with somebody is not a promise of anything. It doesn't mean that you're going to go on a date. It certainly doesn't mean you're going to marry them, but you're going to be open. And then you're going to pay attention. How does this person communicate with me, right? Does this communication feel good? Is it going somewhere? Are they moving the conversation forward? Am I the one doing all the work or asking all the questions, or is we actually having a conversation? Does this person seem content to be my texting boo for the next, 6 months? Or are they actually being like, hey, I'd love to take you out. I'd love to meet you in person. Let me know if you're down to get a coffee. Let me know if you're down to get a drink. Like, you want to see who is behaving in a way that shows you they're actually there to meet you and to date you versus just match and chat and never move things forward. Because that is so much of what goes on dating apps, and it's why people are frustrated by them, a big part of it, why people are frustrated by them, and why people can really just get stuck on them, because you just get in this habit of just like, all right, I need more matches, and then more matches that don't go anywhere, and I just need more matches. And so the last piece of advice I want to give you on this, and we can talk more about this in a later episode, but is to just slow down, right? It's just to slow down. If you've matched with 5 people, you don't have to keep swiping. You can actually just say, I'm going to take a few days and communicate with the people that I've already matched and see if there's any potential for this to actually progress into a date. Like, that's being intentional. That's when by doing that, you are actually like setting yourself up for so much more success. The technology encourages you to keep going and keep swiping forever and ever. I call it swiping into the void. And remember, the incentive of that dating platform is not for you to meet someone really quickly and get off the platform. So that needs to be your intention. That needs to be something that you are keeping top of mind, and that you are not falling into the trap of swiping into the void. So that's some advice about how to bring some intention and more success to dating apps. And if you follow that advice, then I really do believe that you will have a better experience, especially if you are not solely reliant on the apps. And so is it going to require some more, maybe some more courage, maybe some more intention in going different places where you're interacting with more people, leaving your house more often, but it's not about going to some specific place because, like I said, every time you leave your house, you have the potential to meet someone special. Can you open yourself up to that possibility? Can you be comfortable with that even happening? Because most people like the idea of it, but if your response when you see somebody out and maybe you find them interesting or attractive is to like avoid eye contact and run in the other direction, guess what? There, you've got an assignment there, right? To get more comfortable with receiving that intention, that attention. So taking your power back in your dating journey is something that you have the ability to do, but not if you're just following the technology and how it's guiding you, but it's really about being self-directed. And that is something that you have the power to do. So happy dating, and let me know how it goes. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you to those who have reviewed the podcast. I so appreciate you. Please share this episode if you found it valuable. Keep coming back for more because we've got lots more coming over the coming months. So have a great day or night wherever you are in the world. Thank you for listening, and until next time.